Hello and welcome back to Cooking with Terror. This is a special recipe today. Most of the recipes that I cook, I did not create. I might tweak them or tune them a little bit, but this actually, I thought I'd been original on other things and discovered that, I was the 100th person to do it, but I actually think this one might be a little on the original side. It's based upon a couple of things that we absolutely loved. Many years ago, we went to Cabo San Lucas and we were told that they had a great sushi bar downtown. So we went there and it was packed. We were literally shoulder to shoulder with other couples from actually most of them from the same resort that we were staying at. And we ordered the tuna sashimi in a avocado lime cream sauce. And it was so good. Everybody sitting in the restaurant ordered it. And we're all just oohing and eyeing over the sauce. I mean, we love the tuna as well, but the sauce was so good. And the waiters came by and tried to take the plate with the sauce away after we ate all of the tuna. And we said, not on your life, leave it right there. And we ate the sauce on everything. And I'll be darned, I couldn't recreate that sauce for, I don't know, what has it been, a decade or more. But I finally figured out how to do the sauce. The second thing is something we absolutely love, and that's a crab cake. Now, the problem with crab cakes is good back fin lump crab meat, fresh, is about $22 a pound. And so there's a limit to how often you can have real crab cakes. We do love what the Japanese call kani sticks, which is the fake crab. It's fish that has been processed into a crab-like appearance and texture. And it's not crab. It is something different, but we love it in its own right, and we eat it for a whole bunch of different reasons. This makes a great salad, it makes a great sandwich, but it makes one heck of a crab cake. Now, it is a fake crab cake, but it is a delicious crab cake. So we're gonna make some crab cakes based on this. And I've been tweaking and tuning our recipe for this ever since we had a boat on the Chesapeake Bay. When we had the boat on the Chesapeake Bay, every weekend we went searching for the perfect crab cake. Now, our description of the perfect crab cake actually matches James Michener's description of the perfect crab cake, which he provides in the book Chesapeake. And we actually read that book while we were on the Chesapeake Bay on our boat and went searching for that description. So what we're looking for are chunks of meat just barely glued together with a little bit of egg and other sources of moisture that he wasn't clear about. He didn't provide a recipe, he just provided a description. And then a tiny bit of crumb. I'm going to use Ritz crackers that I'm just going to beat up in this bag. And that's about a half a sleeve, by the way, if you're looking at the quantities. So the meat needs to be in chunks, the tiny, tiny bit of breading. I mean, one of the things we hate about a crab cake is when you're basically eating a bread ball that has a little bit of crab flavoring in it. You want it to be mostly crab. And we're going to air fry these. This is something that we just learned to do recently. We haven't had an air fryer until recently. We're going to air fry them, and most of the ingredients going into these crab cakes are already cooked, so you don't have to do much. The point of the air frying is to put a little crust on top and to just set the egg. There is one egg in this, and to not have raw egg in there, we're just going to cook it a little bit until the egg sets. So we're going to start with this fake crab, and I'm just going to cut the bag open. I think there may be other ways of opening this bag, but I find it easy just to open it up. This is 14 ounces. This is a brand that you can find almost anywhere. I think I found it in Sam's Club. We bought this in a public supermarket. Transocean Products, Crab Classics, Imitation Crab, Flake Style. It's fully cooked, ready to eat, and the ingredients are really pretty simple. It's Alaskan pollock is the first ingredient. So it's cold water fish, which we want to be eating anyhow. It has some water, some egg whites, it has a little bit of cornstarch, sugar, sorbitol, but the main ingredient is Alaskan pollock. And then king crab meat to provide some flavor. It actually has some king crab meat in it, and then it has some artificial flavor as well. So we just love the way the stuff tastes, and it is just solid chunks. It's been processed in such a way to provide a texture very similar to real crab. And you see when they vacuum sealed it down like that, it's all in like that, but it breaks out into chunks. And then you can further just shred that with your hands if you want a little bit smaller. I like it to look like the same size meat that you would get if you were buying back fin lump crab. And so I'm just going to get in here with my hands and work this a bit. I did wash them first. It's just us eating it anyhow, so it doesn't. All right, when that's been broken up enough, then we can add some more ingredients, some flavors. I'm going to use an egg to bind it, but for moisture, I'm going to use another egg product, which is mayonnaise. So the mayonnaise is eggs and oil, and it gives, and some seasonings and other things in there for flavor, and it does give more flavor to the mix. I'm also going to be including a new item that we just discovered recently. I guess it's all the rage in the foodie circles. We certainly were reading about it, but we had to wait until we got to our Asian grocery store to buy it. And it's called Chili Crisp. And it is a very, very interesting condiment. It has loads of flavor, not much heat. There's a tiny bit of heat. And we do love just the crispiness, the flavor, the color. It does lots of things. I'm also going to be adding a little bit of mustard, again for the flavor. And then once the cakes are all assembled, I'm going to be giving them a dusting of Old Bay seasoning. Now, Old Bay seasoning is a classic on the Chesapeake Bay. It's a mixture of spices, and it goes way, way back. And if you have crabs anywhere on the Chesapeake Bay, they're going to have Old Bay on them, and they are delicious that way. So I've got the meat broken up. Now I'm going to add a generous dollop of mayonnaise. I'm not measuring anything here, but I hope you can see it. What is that, about 1/4 cup? It's about the same size glob of mayonnaise as the egg that I'm going to be adding. So I've got the mayonnaise. Crack an egg in there. And now we're going in with the chili crisp. I don't know where, other than an Asian grocery store, I don't know where you'd buy this, but it's called Spicy Chili Crisp. And it has both oil with a reddish color to it, and it has these little chunks of crispy pepper of some kind, dried chilies. And I'm using a full tablespoon of it. Now I'm going to use a tablespoon of mustard. And this is stone ground Coop's mustard. It's a delicious mustard. We really like it. I'm going to mix that up really well. I need the crackers. I'll beat those in a bit. We've tried other crackers, and if you prefer something else, or if you're trying to make this and you don't have these in your pantry, we just found that Ritz works best. We've done it with potato chips, we've done it with saltines, we've done it with oyster crackers, but we have come to like the flavor and the texture of Ritz. So that's a 1/2 sleeve. And after you mix that in, you can see that you're still looking at crab. You're not looking at bread. Now, the size cakes you make depend upon how generous a portion you want. I'm going to make 3 because it's just the 2 of us eating, and my sous chef has a slightly smaller appetite than me. I'm going to have 2 eggs, 2 cakes. She'll have 1 egg, 1 cake. I love this little oil sprayer. This has good extra virgin olive oil in it, and all I'm doing is making sure that this pan, which is already lined with non-stick aluminum foil. This is that Reynolds release foil, so nothing would stick anyhow, but this gives the bottom of the cake a little bit of crisp as well. All right, so I want to form these so that there's a well in the middle that will hold a poached egg. And I want them thin enough that the heat can get to them quickly. I don't want it so thick that the center it has the raw egg in it. So I'm just shaping them like that. Looks like I'm going to get 4 cakes out of this. I don't know how I only got 3 the last time, but things change. I don't know. Put a little bit more on this one. Okay, take a quick rinse. I'll be right back. All right, now you might choose to use melted butter at this stage. I'm using olive oil. We're trying to go as Mediterranean as possible. I have nothing against butter. Love it. It tastes great in this recipe. Use it if you wish. And then I'm going to sprinkle on some Old Bay seasoning. Oops, this does have a shaker top. Again, once you get used to Old Bay, you may want more or less than I'm using. There are people who will shovel this stuff on. I'm just giving it a light sprinkle over the top. Okay, so I'm going to put these in the air fryer at 350 degrees, and I'm going to leave them in there 5 to 7 minutes until the top has a nice golden brown color, a little bit of crust, if you will, and they're cooked all the way through. I don't want to overcook them and dry them out, but we'll just go ahead and stick these in the air fryer for that time. Okay, so while the cakes are in the oven, or the toaster oven, air fryer, getting crisped up, I'm going to make the avocado cream sauce. So I've got one of our avocados that we always have on hand, and we're going to see how perfect this is. I haven't looked at this in a couple of days, and it is perfect. So if you watch the video on avocados, we didn't lie. I had no idea what I was going to see when I opened that up, but it turned out to be perfect. And if you watched our thing on avocados, you also know that we use a very fine bladed spatula to get the avocado flesh out. And I'm just pre-cutting that a little bit so that it's easier to use in this little mini prep, this little tiny food processor, which is perfect for small things like this. And the nice thing about this fine bladed spatula is you don't leave any avocado in this shell. It's all out. Cut this one up a little bit. Okay, so the only problem you're going to have with this stuff is that there's never enough of that. You could sit and eat it with a spoon for about an hour after you have everything else. So next I'm going to take a lime, and limes are really hard to get the juice out of, but I found that if you just roll them real hard, beat them up a little bit, soften that outer layer so it's more flexible. Oh, there's beautiful aroma coming up from that. And I am going to take a little bit of zest off the outside. That brightness of the lime against the kind of unctuous flavors going on elsewhere in the recipe is perfect. It really just lightens everything up. Okay, I'll throw some of that zest in there. By the way, zesting it like that also makes it easier to squeeze because you're taking some of the outer layer off. Apologize for the appearance of this little squeezer. We've had it for a very long time. Actually worn the paint off of it. You see how that juices rather nicely now that I've softened it up by rolling it and taken a little bit of the zest off the outside. So we've got 1 whole avocado, juice of 1 whole lime. Very convenient proportions. And I'm going to add a pinch of salt. And then buzz this up a little bit. Add some heavy cream. Proportions on this, what I do is I add a little bit, pulse the mini prep a bit, and take a look at the consistency. Again, it's just for us some. Oh, that's good. I'm going to add just a touch more cream. Wow. Okay, so the cakes are just about done. I'm going to poach a couple of eggs. I'm not going to show you how I do that because there's a whole video on eggs and egg poaching and how to do a perfect poached egg. So if you want to know how to poach an egg, go back and do that. When we come back, I'll be ready to plate this up. So it took about 10 minutes. We actually jacked the temperature up just a little bit at the end to get a little bit more of a crisp on the outside. So I don't know whether you can see how wonderfully golden and crispy these are. Nice lumps of crab meat. Now what I'm going to do is take the this beautiful avocado lime sauce. Now, if you're a real artist, you can do all kinds of cool things to put a design on the plate or whatever it is that works for you. All we care about is we get to eat this stuff. Well, we do care about how it looks. You do eat first with your eyes. All right, don't want to waste any in there. Get it all. All right. And this Jacques Pepin says, always put stuff like this in the middle of the plate and then work your way out. And Jacques ought to know. Done more cooking than I have by a lot. Probably could have made this for the President of France and made him happy. Oh, that is so good. All right. All right, one trick with poached eggs is if you get them almost done and you don't want to be right up against timing, you can plunge them into ice water. And then put them back in the pan to warm a bit. And in about a minute, they'll be warmed back up. And we'll be ready to finish our plating. All right, here's the warm poached eggs. a little bit of salt and pepper on the egg itself. Oh, that was the stove making that sound. And you can see that the egg is perfectly cooked. The cake itself is moist, but all of the raw egg inside has been cooked. I'm going to get one little forkful of this. Oh, that is so good. Really, really good. Well, I hope you try this out. It's a little bit of work, a few extra calories. This is a special treat meal. Enjoy. See you next time on Cooking with Tara.